Today, I get to interview Euan Morton. Nerd Nation! Our guest today is one of the most decorated and versatile performers of any medium. A Tony-nominated Broadway actor, he originated the role of Boy George in Taboo and went on to become the longest-running King George III in history of Hamilton on Broadway. A record-breaking 6-year run, he's an Obie Award winner, a Helen Hayes Award winner, and holds 2 Audie Awards, the Oscars of the audiobook world, along with 11 Audiophile Earphones Awards, spanning nearly every genre imaginable. With over 100 titles to his name, he's voiced Paul Atreides in Dune, spent 11 years in the Star Wars universe, and most recently took the #1 spot on Audible in 3 categories simultaneously with The Strength of the Few. And my personal favorite, he is the narrator behind the Acadia series. He's narrated for Penguin Random House, Simon Schuster, HarperCollins, and Macmillan. And now fresh out of the recording booth, having just completed Titan, Book 2 of the Acadia series, please welcome the incomparable Euan Morton.
Ah, thanks.
So,
That was lovely. Have I done all those things? I remember none of it.
well, it's an impressive career, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. So it is so rare, and I've actually never seen this format before, where you have an author talking directly to the audiobook book narrator. So I took the words, put them on a page, had this world that I wanted people to be excited about and enthused, and then you took those words and brought them to life.
It is actually really rare to have access to the author as the reader, as the narrator, which is both brilliant and adds that 5% extra pressure because you know the person who wrote it is actively listening to it at the time you're doing it. So you're like, if this voice is not what they want and we go on to day 2 or day 3, it's too late to change it. So there's that extra sort of 5% pressure, but it is so awesome to have access to the writer because there's questions you want to ask. I've done lots of books where I'm like, oh, I really want to ask about that world, or really want to ask. And sometimes I've reached out in an email or whatever, but this is a much more personal, and I can get in touch with you during the recording day, which is really good. And I
Which
have.
You've narrated hundreds of audiobooks, won multiple Audie Awards, performed on Broadway, and yet anyone who spent 5 minutes with you knows you're one of the most down-to-earth people in the business. Do you think humility is actually a competitive advantage in a market that is this crowded, or is that just who you are regardless of the outcome?
Well, I mean, listen, it's easy to be humble when you're doing the good work. It wasn't always this way. I mean, I'm nearly 50 now, and you either get more humble and more grateful or you go completely insane, I think, at a certain point in life. No, it's an industry full of competition, and there's been lots of times, especially in live theater, where I wasn't so humble, where other people aren't so humble, where you start to believe the hype, or you're not getting enough credit, or whatever it is, I didn't always think this industry was very good for my mental health.
Mm.
The difference when you're doing an audiobook is you're on your own, really. You're the engineer out there, and you really have to pay attention to all of the characters, all of the voices, but also, as we talked about, building that world. So there is a humility to it. And thank you.
Well, and
Wait, are you wearing your Acadia t-shirt?
yep, I've got my Acadia
Oh,
t-shirt today, so
I wore my Roman sculpture and
I
architecture
love it.
for you. It's just
Very
like,
thematic. I love
yeah,
it.
very. What is this? Is this Ionic?
Oh man, you know better than me. I only know the Corinthian style. Oh,
Yeah, of course, with the acanthus leaves, everybody knows the Corinthian one. It's the one that looks like the crown.
well, and you were so your major was
History and sociology.
okay. That's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
mine
I'm
was
not
English,
useless. Oh, yours was English?
and I'm just about fluent. I'm real close.
You're doing really well. It sounds like your first
Well,
language.
again, hardly no accent at all, even though it is my first language. But
Mm,
for the fans who might be hearing about you for the first time,
mm,
and I don't know where they'd be hiding if it is their first time,
mm.
but give us the Euan Morton story. How does a guy
Oh.
go up from end up? How does a guy end up going from the stage to a recording booth, and why did you stay in that recording booth?
Well, I mean, I've been doing audiobooks before I even came to the US. I started off doing commercials, I think for like a mobile phone company and some other stuff, and somehow that parlayed into audiobooks. That was like 25, 30 years ago. So I've been doing it for a long time. And listen, you're the only person there. I have done a lot of player casts. That means you're in the book with other people. Like Dune is not entirely me. Neither's most of the Star Wars world. I've done a couple of, like the Tarkin book was me. Um, but I love it because there's no one else to ruin it. There's no one else to mess it up. It's all on you. It's you have a responsibility, and I love that responsibility. So for me, it's more challenging. I get to practice lots of voices, lots of characters, lots of I practice reading, which is really important, especially these days. You hear the news all the time of people read less and less and less. So it's for me, this is like practice reading
Yeah.
to keep up, my mental health. I mean, reading is really good for you, and I get to get paid to do it. And I've read all different kinds of genres and all different kinds of worlds. I'm originally from Scotland, so much, 5 million people in the whole country. And I wanted to get out of my little town and I knew that I wanted to be an actor. So I went off to London, trained in musical theatre, and then moved to classical acting because I didn't really know what acting was. And I guess, I mean, I hate to say I'm lucky because lucky's comparative, which means that others are unlucky. I also hate to say I'm blessed for exactly the same reason.
Mhm.
And fortunate's just another word for lucky.
Mhm.
I could say hardworking, but I know that hasn't always been true.
Mhm.
Which leaves only one option, which is it's absolutely coincidental.
Mhm.
The thing with human beings is that we like to find patterns and things, reasons behind things. I just think I've been coincidentally in the right place with the right people when that thing has come up for me. You could also look at my career and go, look at all the missed opportunities, look at all the things he didn't do. I mean, I was just saying to someone recently that life is the series of decisions you didn't take, you know? Um, so yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I've had this sort of series of perfect coincidences that led me into the safety and security of the recording booth. And it is a safe place. If the zombie apocalypse kicks off, I'm likely to be the safest for the first day, and then I'll be starving to death.
But
Sometimes you get like,
you'll
hmm?
have your last moments memorialized via the
Yeah. Well,
audio
this is why
recording.
when I go into the audiobook booth, I take a slew of food. I take enough food for 2 days. Make sure you have food and water in there for a couple of days in case the zombie apocalypse kicks off.
That's
It's
good.
a safe, secure world that I love.
Okay, so when you're narrating a fight scene, and Titan has some epic fight scenes, how do you
So did the
physically?
first book.
Oh,
So
so
did
the
your
first
first.
one,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Does yeah, no, it I try to keep the pace just moving,
Yeah, it
right?
flows really well. It's beautiful when she and the fight scenes are just if you're in it, it just happens naturally. You're with the characters, you can see what's coming, you're just it's like this it's just if it's written well, it's just a natural flow and it builds up and it builds. I do love the fight scenes. I really get into them.
Do you feel like your heart kind of like picks up a
Yeah,
pace
totally.
and you're just kind of in it right there with the characters and you just
Yeah.
happen to be narrating it, but
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Even in the worst of my work, the stuff that hasn't been, super duper well received, which is like none of it. But um, even in those moments, or where not necessarily publicly the worst, but where I've come away not feeling at my best, when I'm reading it, I'm in it. Even if I don't fully understand it, or I don't think I'm doing a good job, or whatever it is, when I'm in it, I'm in it. Doesn't matter if
Right.
it's a book about nuns in the rain,
Mhm.
or which I'm sure I did once, or or the Acadia series. When I'm in it, I'm in it, and the flow
Okay.
is easy. I'm right there, and I do love the fight scenes. I love the antagonism of battle and the arc. You got to be careful though. You talk about technical. You got to be careful when you're shouting to make sure you're away from the mic. Or
Yeah.
there's been a few times where you have to record the same line 15 times because you're shouting too loud. But you're like, but I'm in it. And that's the worst is when you're stopped in the middle of a fight scene. You say a wrong word and you're building up and they're coming and the Reavers and they all get this kicking off and then damn
Yeah.
in the morning
It's
either.
probably pretty good cardio, right?
It's great cardio. Yeah,
One
without moving.
120 beats per minute, 10
120.
a.m., man.
That's right, bud.
You're off for a good day.
That's right. Titan was really different because it was much more character driven. There was a lot less of the fight scenes in Titan, and it's much more about putting Kojaks into a new world in a new place. You know, he's not in the same world anymore he used to be. I mean, as a person, obviously it's in the same world, but as a person, he's in a very different place and he does very different things. And I was actually surprised by Kojak's political thinking. I was like, well, that's where he goes. Wow, that's pretty impressive. And then you did some horrific things, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but they stained me for a while. I was like, no, no.
Yeah,
I won't spoil them, but there's a few no moments.
yeah. Well, on that note, so Orch, Finn, Horace, they all kind of provide some sort of comedic element,
They do, and I love it.
bringing fresh, kind of a fresh feel to this sometimes complex, dark, politically intrigued, backstabbing that goes on. Um, is it a relief to voice those characters, or is it
Yes.
like, or is nailing comedic timing in audio actually harder than playing the dramatic stuff?
No, it's not harder. And you need it. You have to have it. Life is a balance. It can't all be hardship and war and bad. I mean, unless you're living in the real world. Um, but in a novel, there should definitely be moments of levity. No, I love those characters. I love that cheeky levity. That's me as a person. So
Yeah.
I'm much more like Fen and Orch than I am like Kojaks or Jessica. I'm much more the guy going, yeah, but what about butter? You know? So no, I
Which
really.
which is great to have, that compliment, right? So you've got the coach jets and serious and
Oh,
passionate
totally.
speeches, and
I mean, he's
you
got
know,
some funny, cheeky moments too.
he does, yeah.
Less of them
Yeah.
in Titan, but no, I do. I love the levity. I love that you need it. It's a balance.
Is there a character that just sticks out to you, that kind of lives in you a little bit, where you're like this, you point to, let's say, let's just imagine for a bit, like let's say this becomes a big box office movie. Euan Morton gets cast to play one of these
Yes.
roles. Is there someone that you'd be like, man, that's the guy I want to be?
Oh, I know you're just going to make me like some soldier in the background.
No, 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 no.
I'm going to be like one of the faceless numberless.
Hey, no, you
I'm
started
going to
this
wear my
journey.
mask. By the way,
You,
I'm not to give anything away, but don't think I'm putting that armor on. Mm-mm.
yeah, that's fair.
Uh, um, um, is there someone like movie world, like someone I would want to play, or just someone that sticks with me?
Oh, I guess you could answer both if they're different or if
Well, I'm
they're
not
one and
going
the
to answer the
same.
one about who I'd like to play because I don't want to limit myself. If they want me
That's
to
fair.
be Adriana, I'll be Adriana, whatever. Just offer me a role and I'm in. Um, but when it comes to characters who stick with me, I really like the Rifter world.
Mhm.
I that's who I identify with the most.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
love Ias and I love Jessica. I like I can't stand Brutus.
Yeah.
He keeps making it. I want a question for you. How
Uh-huh.
powerful do you feel that on a daily basis when you're writing, you can commit all of the crimes you can't commit in life?
Well, it
Murder.
is
I mean, you get to murder people. You're like a serial killer.
yeah. Well, it is interesting sometimes when a friend or a family member reads a book and they kind of look at you differently, like, I didn't know you were capable of putting that on a page, but it is interesting, like when I'm reading this book, and of course I read each version a lot, right? So I read Titan, Acadia. I'm trying to get the best story, all the good elements in there. I still feel emotional about Titan and Acadia, but even more so Titan. It hits me on a different level, even though I've read it a million times over. So it is an interesting experience.
So we'll get right back to the interview, but I want to talk to you about Acadia. If you like the climb in Red Rising, and you like the setting of Dune, and you like the dynamic, fast-paced action of Hunger Games, you're going to absolutely love the Acadia series. Each copy that is bought helps support me, supports Ewan in this collaborative effort. So if you like sci-fi, action, fast-paced, thrilling books, you're going to absolutely love Acadia. Pick up your copy today before the next one gets released in July. All right, right back to it.
There are some brutal emotional beats in this book. Loss, betrayal, brothers at each other's throats. Without spoiling anything too much, was there a scene that genuinely stopped you in your tracks and maybe even had some sort of impact in the recording booth where you were?
Well, yeah, but I can't say it because it would just spoil everything.
That's fair.
So yes,
Well,
there is, and hopefully the audience will recognize it when they get there because it's quite shocking and, in
yeah,
my opinion, unnecessary, and it makes you a little bit Dexterish.
that's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
I'm just going to break into this guy's room and kill him.
Yeah. So
There's it's not the first time either. You're reading a book, it's the second book, the third book, whatever, and or doing the Star Wars game, and a character doesn't make it.
yeah,
And and then you're like, yeah, there's a wrenching. It's emotional. It's especially if it's one of your favorite characters.
yeah. No, that's certainly fair.
Like Kojaks is not the same person. I mean,
Mhm.
oh, yes, he's the same person, but he has to approach this new world, Acadia Titan, in a different way. He has
Right.
different ideas for what the future will look like
And,
based on a common enemy.
right. And
He
and
has
he's
that sort of Armageddon idea. Remember the movie Armageddon, where
yeah,
the comet's coming and then everybody wants to work together, which never
right.
happens in the real world, but it does in the movies. That's what Kojak's opinion reminds me of.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem autocratic in the way that it might, that it could, because it seems to be coming from a place of there's a common enemy and we better do this quickly and get to work quickly and we can deal with what happens in our democracy afterwards. I hope I'm not giving away too much, but
No, no, that's all great. And he very much has to grow up real quick. Like
oh
he
yeah,
has
sure.
to
And he does.
he kind of takes the situation in a better light than most people and realizes we got to take action. We got to move on this. Otherwise, this is not going to go well for us. So Kojak carries lot of the weight of the whole story on his shoulders. So how did you find his voice, not just the sound of it, but the emotional register? And how did that voice evolve from book one to book two? And like you said, he is different in the sense that he has to take on some
Well, he steps up.
responsibility. Right.
He steps up.
Yeah.
And, he's not even asked to step up by everyone. There are those who don't want him to step up, who don't think he's the right person to do this. But his old team, they support him. Um, some of them.
Yeah.
Um, so naturally, if you go from boyhood, fighting on the front lines, becoming a hero and making a name for yourself, to early manhood and rising to the top of the structural heap, if you like, climbing sometimes over other people. I mean, what's nice about Kojak's is he's morally gray too.
Hmm.
I mean, he doesn't some of the things he says in the book would not be the way I would put it. And when it comes to taking power or trying to take power, he does behave autocratically in some ways. But there's also such a thing as a benevolent dictatorship,
Hmm.
you know. Um, for example, I would ban rally bikes inside all cities and towns so we don't have to listen to that every day.
Yeah.
That would be my dictatorship.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, he naturally, he grew up. I mean, he grew up, and you can tell that from the beginning of the book. So the voice grows up with it and the interpretation grows up with it. It's a hard question to answer because I don't come at it from any technical point of view. It's just really easy. He's right there for me. He's one of the easier ones to do for me.
Mm.
I think he's probably closest to me,
Yeah.
actually. Sort of
Mm.
idealistic, a little naive sometimes, even with all of his power that he gains. There's still a naivety there. The hope that everyone will be benevolent, that everyone is good, that everyone has opportunity, But as he discovers, that's not true. So I think he's still a little naive. He still has that heroic front lines, you just have to do the right thing and everything goes right, attitude to it. And that doesn't work out necessarily well for him throughout this book. But when it comes to his growth, I don't know. It's a really hard question to answer because it just was
Mhm.
natural.
Yeah.
It was well
So,
written.
oh, I appreciate that.
It was easy to read the characters.
Well, I appreciate that. So